Did McLaren just hand Max Verstappen the 2025 championship on a silver platter? Why is Oscar Piastri being punished for mistakes he never made? And could we be watching the most spectacular implosion of a title-winning team since Ferrari's early 2000s disasters? What happened at the Italian Grand Prix wasn't just another team order controversy, it was a masterclass in how to destroy team unity when you need it most. Oscar Piastri leads the Drivers' Championship by 31 points over teammate Lando Norris, but after Monza, those numbers might be meaningless if McLaren continues down this path of self-destruction. Let's start with what should have been a routine Sunday in Italy. Piastri qualified well, Norris was ready to fight, and McLaren had the pace to challenge Max Verstappen. Instead, we got a 5.9-second pit stop disaster that turned teammates into reluctant enemies and exposed cracks in McLaren's strategy that run deeper than anyone realized. The sequence of events reads like a textbook example of how not to manage a championship fight. Piastri pits first, a call that Norris himself suggested to protect Oscar from Charles Leclerc's charging Ferrari. Smart move, right? When Norris came in one lap later, McLaren's pit crew delivered that catastrophic 5.9-second stop, dropping him behind his teammate. Here's where it gets interesting. Instead of accepting that pit stops are part of racing, McLaren immediately ordered Piastri to hand the position back. Not because Oscar had gained an unfair advantage through strategy, but because the team had botched Norris's tire change. Piastri's radio response said everything. "We said that a slow pit stop was part of racing, so I don't really get what's changed here. But if you really want to do it, then I'll do it." That resignation in his voice? That's the sound of a championship leader being told he's expendable. But here's what McLaren doesn't want you to know. This exact scenario destroyed their last real title shot, and they're about to repeat history. The most damning part of this story isn't what happened at Monza. It's that we've seen this movie before. Last season in Hungary, the roles were reversed. Norris was forced to give Piastri a place back, even when it meant surrendering the race lead. Fans didn't forget how long Norris took to accept that order, nor the frustration it caused. This time, Piastri complied instantly. Perhaps he remembered the headlines from Hungary and wanted to avoid the drama. But think about this for a moment. Can you imagine Max Verstappen ever agreeing to a call like that without a fight? Or Lewis Hamilton during his bitter rivalry with Nico Rosberg? The immediate backlash was telling. Social media erupted with criticism, but more importantly, former drivers who understand championship pressure didn't hold back. Nico Rosberg, speaking on Sky F1, cut straight to the heart of the issue. McLaren requires some talks after what happened at Monza. Piastri was punished for a mistake he had no hand in. A slow pit stop isn't on the driver, it's on the team. Rosberg elaborated with the wisdom of someone who lived through the Hamilton-Rosberg battles at Mercedes. Pit stop times are just a part of racing, and what goes around comes around. Sometimes one has a faster stop than the other. That's a really difficult one internally, and that will require some talks, because I think Oscar is not going to be happy with that. While McLaren was busy creating their own drama, Max Verstappen was doing something that should terrify them. He was looking untouchable again. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. While McLaren was orchestrating their pit lane theater, Max Verstappen delivered a performance that reminded everyone why he's a four-time world champion. After pitting on lap 38 to switch to hard tires, he controlled the race with the kind of dominance that made him untouchable in 2023. The gap at the flag was 19 seconds, a gulf that only highlighted how much spotlight McLaren managed to put on themselves rather than their performance. Verstappen pulled away from the field while the McLarens scrambled behind him, their focus divided between racing and managing internal politics. Even at the start, when Norris launched well and took the fight to Verstappen into turn 1, briefly edging ahead and forcing Max to cut the chicane, it felt like false hope. Red Bull quickly told Verstappen to give the position back, but within 4 laps, the reigning champion muscled his way past Norris with a move around the outside at the same corner. From there, Verstappen disappeared into the distance while McLaren became their own biggest obstacle. Jamie Chadwick, joining the Sky broadcast, was equally blunt about McLaren's self-inflicted wounds. McLaren put themselves in these awkward positions, noting the similarities to Hungary and questioning why the team keeps making the same mistakes. When even Verstappen himself raised an eyebrow at McLaren's team order, you know it wasn't just outsiders sensing something wrong. After the race, what both McLaren drivers said and didn't say reveals the real damage this decision has caused. Piastri kept his tone measured in post-race interviews, but the subtext was impossible to miss. He admitted the first half of the race had been tough with tire management, but by the time they switched to softs, he felt the pace was there. On the incident with Norris, he played it down with a diplomatic "it's okay," but added that there were a lot of things to learn from this weekend. That line could be read as standard driver speak, but in context, it sounded more like a quiet warning that he won't always play the team game if situations like this continue. Norris, for his part, didn't celebrate the handover. He admitted McLaren had made a mistake and said he had done everything he could on the day. His words suggested frustration, not triumph. And that's perhaps the most telling part of this story. Neither driver came out looking happy, nor did McLaren come out looking united. The real danger isn't just the fallout from one race, it's what happens if this pattern continues. Piastri leads the championship, but Norris is close enough that every point counts. If McLaren keep interfering in fights between their own drivers, they risk undermining both campaigns. Fans will remember how Ferrari lost titles in the early 2000s, not because of lack of pace, but because of political chaos within their garage. McLaren is playing with the same fire now. For Piastri, who has positioned himself as McLaren's future and the driver leading their charge into a new era, being ordered aside for a teammate because of a pit stop blunder is exactly the kind of slight that sticks in a driver's memory. As Rosberg said, this will require talks. The question is whether McLaren will learn from Monza or repeat history in the races to come. With Verstappen looking ominous again and both McLaren drivers questioning team decisions, we might be witnessing the moment McLaren threw away the best chance they've had in over a decade to win both titles. What do you think? Did McLaren make the right call? Or are we watching a championship-winning team destroy itself from within? Let me know in the comments below.